The first one was it was just a small scene. I was just kind of in this blank space, and I had almost something like an office. It was kind of funny. I had like this kind of office setup, and into the office, or almost what even kind of looked like through a portal, I was getting all these different body types coming into this office, and the whole idea was is that I was presenting to them the new you and the opportunity to kind of step up, and I was getting all these different like I said, all these different body types, but what I was seeing was a majority of the body types that were coming in were reptilian, and it was reptilian children, the men, the females, and young and old, and all different kinds and different species, or I guess different like shoots of the same race. And I thought that was very interesting that a lot of the reptilians right now are looking to step up. At least that's what I was seeing. So I just thought that was an interesting experience to share. And so that was the first experience. And then this next experience, actually, Duane, I wanted to get your view on it because I was kind of looking at it and I kept looking at it. And um, anyways, in the experience, it was you, Duane, and Ava, and myself, and I was standing and I was watching you two, and you guys were on. I mean, it was a whole snowy kind of frozen landscape, and you, Duane, you were standing with your back facing towards this river, or I guess this kind of lake, and we were really high up, and it almost even kind of looked like a diving board what you were standing on. And I remember I had this impression that you wanted to dive into the lake, and for some reason, either you decided not to, or before you could dive in, this giant boulder came rolling down a mountain from our left-hand side, and it came all the way, and it splashed into the river right where were you going to dive in. And as soon as it hit the river, this giant pillar of ice came rising and rising and rising like a skyscraper. And within the pillar of ice, I remember me and a couple others I did not recognize. We went out to the pillar that had rose from the river, and it was almost like an obstacle course. I remember that was sort of like an idea inside of the column. It was like an obstacle course, and you could go all the way up, and that was the idea. And it was very interesting that we had to decide to go through it, but also we did not need to. That was another impression, that we did not need to go through it. So, just thought that was an interesting one as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like I kind of see what you're saying there, and it's kind of like anything we go through, things come to us all the time, and we can do it or, decide not to do it. It's like whatever. It's like your neighbors invite you to dinner, and it's very cordial, and you can say, "Oh yeah, that would be fine," and whatever. But then again, it's like, well, I don't really want to go. It's etc. Something like that. And so it's interesting did you say that the boulder, this big boulder, rolled off from a hill or a mountaintop or something down into the river? Is that what you said?
Yeah, and then and when it hit the river, that's what caused this pillar of ice to rise out.
Well, there's an action there, isn't it? So it's rolling off the mountaintop. So if you maybe would have looked to the left or something, and it's okay, it doesn't matter. Maybe Reeves and Paul are up there, they throw the boulder down because it's a big idea, isn't it? It's a big rock. And so all of a sudden, it creates this pillar of ice. Now, that can be another adventure that we can go into. It's kind of like when you have your experiences too, etc. And we make the choice, do we want to do it? Do we want to take on this adventure or not? You see? And so again, there I am maybe going to dive. In other words, here's the idea. When you're talking to somebody and you tell them about an idea, and the expression is, well, let's all dive in. You see? Now you're younger. These expressions and these old sayings, are along my life. You're a younger kid. You probably haven't heard these things, but there's an old saying called, "Oh, let's all dive in." You see what I'm saying? And so that kind of goes along with that expression. But then again, you might be with your buddies and it sounds good for the moment, but then you start looking at it and thinking, well, I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to make this investment. I could lose money, or it's this or that, you see. But at the moment, it sounds good. And so as I'm just about to dive in, all of a sudden this big idea comes, which creates this pillar of ice, okay? Because the snow is purity. It always is. And frozen or not, whatever. And then what you're saying is you can walk inside. Your experience was you could walk inside this pillar?
Yes, as soon as the pillar rose, I was automatically aware that there was stuff within the pillar, and like I said, it was like when I stepped into it, it was like a giant like obstacle course, and I knew that it had levels to it and so on.
Yeah, yeah. So there, again, look at the process to get the pillar there. The boys had to set this up with the scene, get us together, roll the rock down the hill, boom, the pillar is created from the action, you see? So there was an action taken to create that as a situation and to see if, any of us would make the choice to go in there and explore it, etc. You decide if you're going to go up there and do it. So the idea is could it pertain to what we're doing and the Armada and everything else we're doing? Because there's a big picture here, more so than do we want to do it or not, you see? So again, look at it that way. Now you can always revisit this, even though you decided whatever, it can be revisited because there may be some hints or something in there. So that's what I see. It's always the boys provide an opportunity for us. And it's just like somebody built a school building. It's like we built the boys built a real universities on the real side for everybody because of what I decided, etc. So that all that's being built for people to go there, but they have to decide to do that. So again, that's what I see, and look at your decision, and yeah, you don't have to do it. It's up to you. So again, I continually creatively do things like the thing we just did with the detective thing. I see that as another really good avenue to contact people, and like what Val is doing, going out there with the hikers. We created that years ago in Huntington Beach. I had the idea that, oh, why don't we start a universal hikers, Val, and do it in a certain way or whatever. Well, that kind of went by the wayside, but the idea still stuck there. And now Val is out there talking to these people, so it takes a while. And this is years ago, 5, 6 years ago that we started that idea, etc. So, they're giving a hint as to something there, and the decision is made. Do you want to go in there and explore and see what else there is? So, yeah, again, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I see that. Thank you, Duane. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's no, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's always good because, again, what's presented to us. So I look at everything in the physical or on the real side, on all the funny stuff I go through, etc. What's presented to us. 2 nights ago, I was with, and I don't even think about it anymore, but I'm back from the days of Paul, and then Darwin came along for 10 years, and then Harold. Well, I don't think about Darwin anymore, and I had a lot of experience with Darwin in those days and even in the physical sense, I knew him and was on the building committee and stuff like this in Arizona, and a lot to it. Well, Darwin decided to go his own way. He wants to be looked upon as the master or whatever. Well, 2 nights ago, there he was. I was outside of his little, this place that he was having a big meeting with many of his members. And I kind of just, didn't really look at him as he walked by and walked in. And then I walked in and I was barefooted. And I saw all the people sitting at like long tables, facing each other, kind of like you would in a high school, cafeteria. And then I just kind of walked in and walked out. And then I sat with a couple people, and one of them was a policeman. And he said to me, "Oh, they don't like policemen in there." Well, this was one of the real guides, because they will appear as policemen. And so the idea was is that we were just to show up and show ourselves. And so again, I made the decision to be there to do that. And I don't personally think of Darwin at all. I don't, have him in my thoughts or anything like that. It's like whatever he wants to do, he wants to be the master. But I look for any opportunity, good, bad, or whatever, dealing with the Kalam God or what have you, to say something, do something. And so again, that's what I see with your situation there. Yeah. As I'm talking, I see it. So again, I'm showing you, okay, let's dive in. And then all of a sudden the rock comes, you see? So again, there's your hints.
Yeah, I see it. I see that. And another funny detail was, I forgot to mention, was Ava was wearing a swimsuit, so she too was ready to dive in, and you were wearing swim trunks. Yeah.
Exactly. In other words, dive in and get involved. You see, we were showing you see. So again, you have to understand as you go through this, many times you become kind of commonplace. In other words, it's like, okay, you're already clicked in, you know this, you're having experiences. Basically, okay, well, I don't need anything else. I'll just do what I do. But no, are you looking for new opportunities every moment? And especially on the real side with your experiences, etc. The armada and all that is coming because I did that, because I decided with Rebazar, I'll do it. Okay, I'll take it over. I'll be the fall guy. I'll just do it. Whatever happens, happens. I have awareness. I'll just do it. I'll take it on, And so again, there's your hint. Ava and I, we were there to give you the hint that, hey, we're ready to dive in. Are you? You see? But you decide. It's a big idea. It's a toughie. Yeah, and that boulder is heavy to lift. And Val lifts heavy boulders. This is a bigger one. Yeah, you see the size of it. So again, it's a big idea and it's heavy. So you decide if you want to get involved with it. Yeah. And you decide how you see it too. That's up to you. Thank you. That's a good one.